All right, so on test 2, you're going to be stuck with trying to solve system of equations, and it's going to tell you, for some problems, it's going to say solve them this way. For some problems, it will say just solve them and you can do whatever you want to. I don't care. All right. If it says substitution, you have to do substitution. Now, if you look at this, you can say to me, but hey, if I just multiply this by -1, that makes this a plus 3y, then I can cancel them. You're right. I agree. All right. But that doesn't matter because that's not how you get to do it. You must do it by substitution. Now, what does substitution mean? It means you either solve for x or solve for y in one of the two equations. So basically, you have 4 letters to choose from. You got to solve for one of those 4 letters. I will personally say, let's solve for x. It's the easiest one. Okay? When I say it's the easiest one, I mean you don't have to divide by any number when we get done, and then you don't get any fractions. So we'll add 3y, and we'll get x equals 3y plus 5. Now, what do you do once you do that? Plug it in. It's 8 times 3y plus 5. That's the x value that we just found. Minus 3y equals 19, yes? So now you got to solve that equation. 24y plus 40 minus 3y equals 19. Combining like terms, 24 minus 3 is 21y. Plus 40 equals 19. Subtract 40, subtract 40. 21y equals negative 21. Divide by 21, divide by 21. So y is equal to negative 1. Once you get y is negative 1, go back and plug it in. 3 times negative 1 plus 5. That makes x equal to 2. So you would say the answer for this equation is 2, negative 1. If it said right as a solution set, put it in braces. That's what solution set means. What happened? What happened?
Okay. What did you plug in negative y? What equation did you plug in y for? That one right there?
That one.
Well, do you plug it in like that or like the original?
You can plug it into one of the originals too. It doesn't matter.
It's easier if you don't do the original.
Because
So this is what some teachers will say. Don't plug it into this one because you changed it, and you could be plugging that into a wrong equation. Okay, if you're plugging that into a wrong equation, your answer's probably wrong anyway. So what the hell difference does that make? Right?
My mistake was that when I multiplied negative 1 to negative 3, it's positive, right?
Yeah.
But when I moved it over, I didn't make it negative. I kept it positive. So
Yeah.
I got 8 instead of 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't do that. Yeah, that's small things, man. It's always the small things. All right, going to elimination. I've got to choose to try to eliminate either the x or y. It doesn't matter. I'll just choose to do the x's in this case. When you do that, in essence, all you got to do is take whatever number this is and whatever number that is and multiply them this way. I mean, that's probably the easiest way to do it. All right. Now, to a question that is, well, how do I know if I'm supposed to add or subtract? I always add, but if they're not going to cancel, like this is 2 times 5 is 10, this is 5 times 2 is 10, they're not going to cancel. So when they're not going to cancel, I just say, okay, I got to make one of them negative. Now, which one do you make negative? It really makes no difference. I mean, just pick one of them to be negative. It doesn't matter which one. Okay? Multiplying the top equation, we get 10x minus 6y equals 24. Negative 10x minus 25y equals 100. Do we agree?
Yes.
Adding straight down, these go away. This is negative 31y equals 124. Divide by negative 31, divide by negative 31. Y is negative 4, I believe. Do we agree?
Yes. What is that saying? 124.
That's 124. And this is a 31. Okay.
How do you get negative 1?
How do I get what?
Negative 1.
124 divided by 31.
Oh.
Okay. Yes.
So you multiply 5 and 2 to get 10? Or?
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, again, the simple answer is if you just take whatever number this is and whatever number this is and switch them around and multiply them through, you'll get them to be the same numbers. I mean, there may be an easier way to do it, but that's the simple way to do it. For example, kind of a side note, if I had 6x plus 8y equals 12 and 3x plus 7y equals 6. I could multiply this bottom equation by negative 2, and that would give me negative 2 times 3 is negative 6 and cause it to cancel. Do you see that? But even if you didn't do that, if you multiply the top equation by 3, the bottom equation by 6, and then said, well, this is going to be 18, this is 18, this is 18, I need one of them to be negative, you still get the right answer. Does that make sense? Like it's still going to cancel the same way it would if you multiplied by 2. All right? It just requires you to get a little bit bigger numbers sometimes. But I think that's probably a fair trade for ease of use to get to the problem because you have a system in place that allows you to do it every time. Okay? By the way, the answer in this case is 2-0. All right. Now, in this case, plug in y is negative 4. So we got 2x plus 5 times negative 4 equals negative 20. 2x minus 20 equals negative 20. Add 20, add 20. 2x is equal to 0. Divide by 2, x is equal to 0. So we got 0, negative 4. All right, any questions on that? All right, solving by graphing. When you solve by graphing, you graph both lines, and then you look for the point of intersection. 3x minus 4 has you down here on negative 4, up 3 over 1, and you have this line, which is not drawn very well, but you get the picture, right? Negative 2x plus 1 has you here, has you here, down 2 over 1 is here, has you hitting this line. When I tell you to say, I'm going to tell you to do this on the test. I mean, make no mistake. I'm going to say solve this by graphing. There's actually 2 problems on that. Solve by graphing. You have to graph both lines. What I usually see people do is they do this. They do it by substitution, right? Like they do this, they get 5x equals 5. You know, where they move the 2x over, they move the 4 over, and then they get x equals 1. So they're able to get the answer, but they don't ever do the graphing part, and that's the problem that's going to mess them up. Okay? You got to do the graphs to get the answer. It's not just can you solve it somehow. It's can you solve it by graphing. Okay? It's can you solve it by graphing. And you have to be able to graph both lines. All right? Say it again, baby.
How is it 1 and not 2?
It's where the graphs cross. The graphs cross at 1, -1. This ordered pair right here is 1, -1.
Can you show the bottom one again? 'Cause
What do you mean?
I seen you started at 1 and then you went down.
The black one?
Yeah.
I started at 1. That's the y-intercept. Then I went down to 1, 2 over 1. Okay? In this case, the slope is -2 over 1. What's wrong, baby?
Because mine don't meet at 1, 1. Mine meet at -2, 1.
Because you probably skipped 0.
Yeah, you probably skipped 0. When you went down 2, you probably skipped 0. Okay? So those are the 3 ways in which you can solve system of equations. And on test 2, you'll be expected to solve them all 3 ways.
On the right one, we got -4. Where's the 3 coming from?
Huh?
Where's the 3 on the top one coming from the right hand?
Oh, it's the slope. It's 3 over 1. So you start at -4. You start at -4, and then you count up 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. And that would have been your point.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Good questions, yes.
So if it isn't a factor, you just automatically put it over 1 if it's not
Yes, if it's not a fraction.
fraction.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. If it's not a fraction, just put it over 1. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Going once. Going twice. Going once, going twice. All right. We'll turn this off.